What's good, Seahawk fans? Welcome in. It's Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us for our final live show prior to the 2023 NFL Draft coming up next week. We have a big show on deck. We'll have the latest news and rumors, including the possibility of trading up for Will Anderson. I'll also go over my perfect draft plan for your Seattle Seahawks. And we'll do not one, but two Q&A mailbags today. You can be a part of the mailbags by using the hashtag Seahawks or super chatting to get on the show. As you guys file in, let's chat you out. Tell us what your area or what your zip code is, rather. That's the 5 digits associated with your mailing address. That's not your area code. I want to know, as you guys file in and get here, where your zip code is at, and we'll shout you guys out and welcome you in to this edition of Seahawks Today. I got 41 people watching so far to this point. Got 6 likes as well. As you guys get in here, hit that like button as well and get the chat going as we begin today. And let's see. What a funny first name for the first one. I'm your dad. I don't think you're my dad, but nonetheless, in the 97211, John Sweeney checking in the 98229. I got MJ Seahawk in the 80020. Where else are you guys watching from today? I see Jan checking in from Germany. Hello, Jan. Thanks for being here with us. I don't know if they have zip codes in Germany or how that all works, but nonetheless, thanks for being here. Where else are you guys watching from today? Shout out your zip code, and we will shout you out here on today's show as I crack open a cold Coors Light. There it is. Cheers to all the Seahawk fans out there today. Not drinking Bud Light. We are drinking Coolers, though. I see Dawson in the 98682. I got XX Crayon. Ooh, that sounds interesting, getting those X's involved. In Omaha. Welcome, Crayon. I used to live in Omaha at one point in time in the 66046. Let's see. Calvin is at the 99001. I got Seattle's Gaming in the 98055. I got RNC at the 34014. Mikey in Houston, that's pretty good. My zip code, nice try, Fed. I do not work for the feds. I did have to take care of my taxes yesterday. Shout out to the feds for that. Brad the Man in the 98520. Timothy in the 32922. I got Frederick checking in from Sweden. And then I got AFX Apocalypse checking in 44851. Let's see. AFX says, Tyler, did Trey show you the Seahawks video? I don't know what you're talking about. I guess I did not. I don't know what you're saying there as far as the Seahawks video goes. Let's see. I got Peter in the 22306. I got also My Strupp in the V9VL8. That's not a zip code, at least in America anyway, unless you're somewhere else. Impose is checking in Texas in the 78538. Big Tex in the house with me today. He is joining us right now. Big Tex is the Texan you are, and you're wearing that ugly University of Texas shirt today. Do you have any guesses where the 78538 zip code is, Tex? Turn yourself on so people can hear you.
Yeah, give me 1 sec here. I'll pop up that cam.
All right. Big Tex is in the house with me today. No Jeremy Chugs, but Tex holding things down, and he'll be with us on draft night as well. There he is. Tex in all his glory. Tex, welcome in. Hey,
what's up, y'all?
Everybody say hi to Big Tex. So
welcome.
As the Texan you are, do you have any guesses where 78538 is?
what is it?
78538.
Oh, well, we're in the 7.5s up here, so I assume it's probably not the DFW area?
You would never guess this. I'll put it this way.
Okay, New Braunfels.
No, Ed Couch, Texas.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. Definitely not. Not a chance.
Michael is in the 98208. Got Jenny Lynn Clayton in the 98058. Keep up with the good work. Thank you, Jenny. Jenny, who cannot turn to? Oh, yeah. Let's see. What else we got here? Gordon in the 98801. Got George in the 74401. Thanks for checking in, guys. Your zip code's where you're at. We're going to talk plenty of draft stuff today. So here's what I want to know. With the draft coming up next week, who is your dream Seahawks draft target? And it doesn't even have to be a first-round guy, someone with the Seahawks, 2 first-round picks. It could be somebody later in the draft, second, third round, whatever it may be. Who is your dream draft target for the Seattle Seahawks? Let us know, and I'll shout you guys out. Whoa, Minecraft Soft getting a little horny in the chat, says to me and Tex, hi, sexies. Interesting. Hi, right back at you. Tex is a single man, by the way.
Yeah, that's a little weird thing to comment in the comment section, I'm not going to lie. Not opposed to it, but a little out of the ordinary.
Let's see. What else is in here? We got Tobias says Keely Ringo, AFX Apocalypse. How dare you? How dare you say Stetson Bennett? That's criminal behavior. Get out here with that Stetson Bennett.
The name that shall not be named.
Yeah. Peter says Cody Mock. Let's see. Saint says Julius Brents. Pablo says Christian Gonzalez and J.L. Skinner. So Pablo's thinking secondary here. Let's see. Who else we got here? Gordon says I'm still liking Richardson or Carter and Gibbs. Gio says Christian Gonzalez. Tex, you've been following this draft stuff for quite a bit. Been here with us throughout the draft process. Who is a guy that you like in this draft? Who is your dream draft prospect? And I will allow you to say your guy, Bijan Robinson, if you want.
Okay, well, that's obviously who I'm going to say. Hook 'em, first of all. I think Bijan might be the best player in this draft, outside of like Jalen Carter and maybe Will Anderson. Definitely the best offensive player, in my opinion. I know a lot of people love to, look at C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, but you can't go wrong with Bijan Robinson, bro. He's got great hands out of the backfield. He's a great runner.
And you said that if the Seahawks draft Bijan Robinson, you're going to get a Bijan jersey?
100%.
Okay.
The only the only team that he gets drafted by that I won't get a jersey for is the Eagles and maybe the Commanders. That's about it, because I'm a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, Tex, you might want to keep that quiet around here. He's a Cowboys fan, but he'll root for the Seahawks, though.
I like the Seahawks.
He's one of the 12s when he's here with us.
That's right.
Peter says he'd draft me. Okay. Well, I don't know how much good I would do for you. AFX says, what's wrong with calling the homies sexy? Nothing wrong with it, just a little horny. Just a bit of a bonk there. Nonetheless, I see Taker610 says Richardson and Nolan Smith. Minecraft, stop mentioning Stetson Bennett. How dare you? How dare you bring that into my show? Do not mention that name. We do not talk about him around here. He's a criminal, and he might be going to jail. Probably not, but you get the idea. Jose says Will Anderson, J.L. Skinner, Keely Ringo. Frederick says John Michael Schmitz in the second round. That's a good choice. He potentially could be there. Let's see. What else we got? Harry says Bryce Young. Michael says Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. AFX Apocalypse says Andre Carter III. That's just disgusting. Cry, Eagles, cry. On the road to losing games. That's how that song really goes. Pablo wants to know, what do I think about Anthony Richardson? Pablo, use the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat, and I will elaborate further in the mailbag. And I will answer that question. I will give you a detailed answer in the mailbag if you use the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Super Chat will get you to the front of the line in the mailbag. All right. Let's see. What else we got here? Who is the greatest Seahawks draft pick of all time? Now, Tex, I leave this open to interpretation because you could go by who the best player is, or you could say based on the value of, well, you got him in the third round, or you got him in the fifth round. Like, Like Richard Sherman, for example, was a 5th-round pick. Russell Wilson was a 3rd-round pick. So you could argue maybe those guys weren't the best player in franchise history, but the value of the pick could make that the best pick that was ever made potentially. What say you guys? Open to interpretation, however you feel. Michael Hyde says Bobby Wagner. Minecraft Soft says Cam Bam. Saint says 5th-round steal, Richard Sherman. Kind of like what I was talking about there. Let's see. Got Harry Morris says Richard Sherman. Okay. And it's open interpretation. You could do it based on value. You could do it based on just the talented player and what they brought to the franchise. It's really how you guys feel on that. Luke White says Sherman and Doug Baldwin. Peter says Cam Chancellor. Mark gives 4 names. I only asked for 1, but thanks for the effort, Mark. Bobby, Cam, Earl, and Sherm. AFX Apocalypse, Kobe Bryant would not be the correct answer right now. That is, I said there's no wrong answers. That would be a wrong answer right now because Tariq Woolen was picked in the 5th, and he's looked a lot better than Kobe Bryant. Oh, okay. Pablo wants to party. Bang! $50 super chat. The first super chat of the afternoon. We're off and rolling here on this Wednesday. Pablo, if the Seahawks draft Anthony Richardson at the 5th overall pick, I might cry. Pablo, I hate to burst your bubble here. We haven't even gotten to the super chat menu yet. I got some stuff to pay off. We'll get to that here in a second. And we got another super from Taker we'll get to. And then we'll show the super chat menu. Pablo, I would be pretty bummed if the Seahawks used that pick for Anthony Richardson. And I'm going to talk about this more later, too. Think about this scenario here, okay? The Seahawks at 5 will have the chance to have Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, or Tyree Wilson. One of the 3 likely with that 5th pick. And if you go with a project quarterback, when you're in a team that's in win-now mode, I have my doubts about Anthony Richardson to begin with. But not to mention, for the Seahawks, I want somebody that's going to make an instant impact, that's going to get this team better. I already think the Seahawks are about a 10 or 11 football team right now. You add in a Will Anderson, a Jalen Carter, a Tyree Wilson. One of those guys that can help this team take that next step. To me, that would go a long way. So I would be disappointed if they go with Anthony Richardson there. If they take him at 5, I would prefer one of those defensive players that can have a more immediate impact that's not a project. But let's show that super chat menu. Let's show the super chat menu now so people can see what they're paying for. So Pablo didn't even know what he was buying with the $50 super chat. And that's why Pablo's a real one, and we appreciate him. He gets a jungle chug. Every $50 super chat is a jungle chug. And Pablo is halfway to a spot in the Boot Hall of Fame today. Tex, are you on the Boot Hall of Fame yet? You are not. Pablo or anyone out there today, you could put Tex on the Boot Hall of Fame. I'm not on the Boot Hall of Fame yet either. You could induct one or both of us or yourself or family member, loved one, someone you want to honor, whatever it is, $100, and you get a spot on the Boot Hall of Fame, and you can induct somebody with you on the Boot Hall of Fame or do it for yourself, whatever it may be. Who is going to be the one today that gets me inducted, that gets Tex inducted in the Boot Hall of Fame? I'm going to see if there's any takers on this, but I do owe a Jungle Beer chug. And so when you watch Seahawks today, not only are you getting me talking football and try to bring you my expert analysis of sorts, but you are also getting an entertainer and a bartender. And so here is my Fireball in hand. Here is my Coors Light, not Bud Light. Very good big key there. And so for Pablo, I am going to do some mixing right on the spot. There it is. Can't get it on my shirt. So I got the Fireball. I got the Coors Light. And now I got to do this jungle chug. I got to take the two together. So here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Chug, chug, chug.
Ah,
nice.
That was good. That was good. Pablo, way to kick off the party. Not even getting to the super chat menu yet. And bam, $50 super chat. We're partying. We're having a good time. Taker 610 with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Taker 610. Carter would Would our best D-line prospect since who? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's a very good question. What do you think, chat? Who would be the best defensive lineman prospect that Jalen Carter stacks up to? I mean, it would be, I think you have to go back a ways when you're talking about this. I'm very curious. I'll answer this here in a second, but I want to hear what the chat would have to say about this. I mean, am I crazy to say that he might be the best since Cortez Kennedy? Is that a reach? Is that going too far back to say that Jalen Carter would be the best D-line prospect since Cortez Kennedy? That might be where I go with that answer. But I want to hear what the chat says. AFX Apocalypse says Clowney, but remember, they didn't draft Clowney. Clowney was drafted by the Houston Texans. Let's see. David with a super chat. David, we'll get to yours in just a second, but I want to see what the chat has to say about this answer. Prospect. Where does Jalen Carter belong among the best prospects at the defensive line position that we've seen ever come to Seattle? I mean, Cortez Kennedy, I think he's better than what Jaron Reed ever was, even though they're going to be teammates here, more than likely, potentially. Joe Nash, what do you guys think? That's a very loaded question, but I think you might go back. He might be the best defensive line prospect the Seahawks have had since Cortez Kennedy. So, loaded answer, but I think that's what I would have for you there for Seattle there. Thank you, Taker610. $5 super chat. That means it's time for the DK song here in just a second. David says, what should we do it at nose tackle? It's a very good question. You know, depending on how the Seahawks do with their lineup, whether it's Jaron Reed or Jalen Carter, one of the two is going to play nose and the other is going to play defensive tackle. But, you know, there's some other guys when you get past Jalen Carter that could be potential fits for that position. You might be talking about Brian Persee as one of those guys there. You know, to me, those are kind of the early names to potentially think about and try to figure out who belongs where at nose or defensive tackle, whatever. But those are the two that come to mind, obviously. All right, so Tex, Big Tex. Are you ready to sing the DK song?
Yeah.
Do you remember all the words?
I think so.
Saint says, I don't want Mozzie Smith. Why do you not want Mozzie Smith? Mozzie Smith could be a potential good fit for Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not opposed to Mozzie Smith myself. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Chopping carols, chopping Gino passes. No one's stopping DK. Touchdowns all day. He rules.
Nice.
David, Mozzie Smith at nose tackle. I don't know exactly what spot he fills necessarily, but on that defensive line, depending on what the Seahawks decide to do, we'll see. But yeah, Mozzie Smith, I think, would be a good fit for the Seahawks. Whether they put him at defensive tackle or nose, it depends on how they feel there. But we'll see. But thanks for the $5 super chat there. Use hashtag Seahawks or super chat to get on the show. We're at $57 already, and the show hasn't even technically started yet. So here's what I want to do. Tex, we are at 20 likes right now. I think we can get to at least 40 likes. We can double that number. If we can double that number, then we can get this show started. So,
come on, y'all. Like the video.
Like the video. If you love your Seattle Seahawks, if you're excited for the draft, if you're going to enjoy yourselves and have a great time today here on the channel, smash that like button. Look, let's get the good vibes going. Let's have ourselves a hell of a day here on the channel and really just enjoy ourselves. Smash that like button and a little extra incentive. I'm going to take a free shot when we get to 40 likes. So I forgot to mention, too, with the $57 we've already gotten Super Chats, we're in a battle today. We're trying to take down the Cowboys report and the 49ers report because we want to own not only just the division and beat the 49ers, but we want to own the conference and take down the Cowboys, too. And so we're already off to a good start today. But we got work to do because we want to really stick it to our other channels here and show why the Seahawks, why the 12s are the best fans in the National Football League. 2 more likes. I need 2 more likes to get to 40, and then we're taking a free shot when we get there. That is the Super Chat battle today. Let's show up, show out, and why the Seahawks are the best fans in the NFL. 39 likes. I need 1 more like, and then we can officially start the show. In the meantime, let's show that Super Chat menu one more time. And then I'll show you what's on deck today. I need 1 more like. I'm confident we're going to get that 1 like, so I'm going to go ahead and pour the fireball right now because I believe that we can get that 1 more like so we can officially start the show. But we still need to get there. So let me put it in the chat right now that you guys need to like the video so we can reach that mark. There is the Super Chat menu today. What I've been told, too, that if we have a pretty good day on Super Chats, if we get, let's say, over $400, then we're going to be live for a decent amount of time in the draft. The more we get in Super Chats today, the more live coverage we can do during the draft. So if you guys want us to be live and party and have a good time during the draft, then we got to get the Super Chats rolling and enjoy ourselves here. We did get over 40 likes, so we'll take this shot. Here's the Super Chat menu. DK Song for every $5. $7, we do these shots for Gino, these Gino shots. $20 to do a beer chug. I do have my Coors Light in hand ready to go. $50 do a Jungle Beer Chug, which is the Coors Light with the Fireball mixed together. And then every $300 that comes in, we do the boot. We're at $57 right now, so we're making some good progress, but got a ways to go to get to the $300 for Das Boot. And every $100 gets you a spot in the Boot Hall of Fame. We'll do an induction ceremony and everything for you, and you will be amazed. If you are not a part of the Boot Hall of Fame, today is a great day to join the Boot Hall of Fame, and you can get me and Tex inducted here with you to be members of the Boot Hall of Fame on there as well. So that is what we're offering today. Every $100. Pablo's at $50 already. He's halfway to the Boot Hall of Fame. Here's the cheers. Let's go Seahawks. Let's have ourselves a hell of a day. Let's get ready for the draft. Coming up, Seattle Seahawks news and rumors. We'll catch you up to speed on everything that's happening with your Seattle Seahawks ahead of the draft next week. We'll do not 1 but 2 Q&A mailbags today. And I will lay out the perfect draft plan for your Seattle Seahawks, what they need to do in the draft next week. We'll go over all of that and more coming up in just a few moments from right now. So that's what's on deck. If you want to be a part of the mailbags, be a part of today's show, Super Chat, or use the hashtag Seahawks to get on the mailbags. Tex, are we all ready to go? All right, let's get after it. Seahawks Today live, beginning with our news and rumors right now. Welcome in. It's Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we will catch you up to speed on the latest Seattle Seahawks news and rumors with everything you need to know just over a week away from the 2023 NFL Draft in Kansas City. Before we get to that, though, here's what I want you guys to do. With the draft coming up in just a few days, if you are ready for the 2023 NFL Draft, I need you to like today's video. Smash that like button if you're ready for the draft, if you're excited about it, the Seahawks and their 2 picks that they have here. I'm calling all the 12s now, every single one of you, to like today's video. And I've been told that if you like today's video, then the Seahawks' chances of getting better players go up. So don't even jinx it. Why even take a chance at that point? Just go ahead and smash that like button, and we will begin today's show. Will Anderson Jr. is believed by many to be one of the best players in the 2023 NFL Draft. And Brock Huard, former Seahawks quarterback, legend at the University of Washington, and does an incredible job. One of my favorite analysts that covers college football for Fox Sports, also does a radio show in Seattle as well. He mentioned the possibility of the Seahawks trading their picks at 5 and 20 to get Will Anderson at 2 or 3, more than likely 2, to secure their chances of getting Will Anderson. And it's an interesting idea. We'll show you the type of trade it would take for it to happen or what Brock was talking about. But I want to dive into what Brock had to say here. This is what he said on 710 Seattle Sports Radio. 5 and 37, the first two picks for the first of 2 second-round picks Seattle passes for Will Anderson, not even a question mark. 5 and 20 for Will Anderson, to me, not a question mark. So that's where, to me, I get a generational pass rusher, man, and that's what Anderson is. I'm a big fan of Will Anderson. If you've been watching this show for the last several months, I have been very high on him for a long time. I don't think it's a bad take from Brock Huard to have this idea. But for me, what I rather do is hold serve at 5 and not give up the 20th pick, not sacrifice one pick to make another pick better. Because what I look at is with that number 5 selection, there's going to be a really good defensive player or 2 or 3 still available at that pick. You might not even have to trade up to get Will Anderson if you want him. And give up the 20th pick, to me, that is a bridge too far as I'm concerned. The stats on Will Anderson were terrific. 204 tackles, 59 tackles for loss, 35.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. There was not a better defensive player in college football the last 2 seasons than Will Anderson Jr. No question about it. I mean, Mel Kiper's got him as the number 2 overall player, the number 1 outside linebacker on his big board. He was unanimous All-American the last 2 years, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in the SEC. He is that dude. All of that is fantastic from Will Anderson and what he brings to the table. Nobody is questioning in this idea anything against Will Anderson as far as I'm concerned. To me, looking at this possibility of why I'm against the idea of trading up for Will Anderson is not a knock on Will Anderson. I don't want that to be confused here. What I'm saying is the reason why I'm against trading up is because of the idea of what you have potentially elsewhere available at 5. You might even have Anderson right there. You might have somebody like Jalen Carter or Tyree Wilson, whatever it may be. Here was Huard's idea. You move up to 2 with Houston, and they move down to 5 and 20. To me, that's just too high of an asking price to do that type of move, as far as I'm concerned, for a guy that might even be there anyway if you want him. Would you make this trade that Brock's talking about here of moving up to 2 and giving up 5 and 20? Let us know in the comments section. This is our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Type Y for yes, in for no if you would make this trade or not. Peter Schrager of the NFL Network, host of Good Morning Football, does a terrific job on that show. Also works with Fox Sports. He released his first mock draft for the season and went over both picks for the Seattle Seahawks. And the first pick was a bit of a surprise considering where other mock drafts have Seattle headed right now. With their pick at 5, Schrager is projecting the Seahawks go quarterback with Anthony Richardson out of Florida. And there is a belief, I think, among most people that the quarterbacks are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, or they're going to go 3 out of 4, whatever it may be. And Anthony Richardson likely would not be available when the Seahawks pick at 5 to begin with. And not to mention, I don't like the idea of the Seahawks drafting a quarterback at the top 5, as mentioned earlier, when you have all that great defensive talent as is. So to me, that one's a bit of a head-scratcher of the idea of Anthony Richardson there at 5. Now, the next pick, at 20, Schrager projected the Seahawks going with Iowa edge Lucas Van Ness, who is a terrific football player. I would not have any complaints if the Seahawks go with Lucas Van Ness with that 20th pick if they go with him there. So I want to focus in, though, on the Anthony Richardson pick. We'll dive into that. I want to show you some statistics and more about what Schrager's talking about and let you hear from Schrager directly in a second. Before we do, draft hats are on sale now. With the draft coming up next week, you can get a draft hat and still get it in time for the draft itself. Whether it's the flat bill or it's the ball cap style, maybe it's the blue, maybe it's the white, whatever it may be, we have both combinations of Seahawk draft hats on sale now while supplies last. So go ahead and get yours today. Don't wait another minute. Get yours today. Have it in time for the draft. Wear it to your draft party, whatever it may be. Chatsports.com/Seahawks draft to get yours today. That's chatsports.com/Seahawks draft. So here is what Schrager had to say about why he had Anthony Richardson to Seattle at 5. The Seahawks love Geno Smith, and there's no doubt he's the man for 2023. But with 2 picks in the top 20, they can go with a quarterback here. After all, they surely don't plan on picking in the top 5 again anytime soon. If another QB-needy team doesn't leapfrog them, the Hawks can secure a signal caller for the future. Seattle has time to get Richardson in the room with coordinator Shane Waldron so he can learn from the offense. Now, I was thinking about this, a way to describe this situation, to get you to know what I really feel about this. I think it would be unforgivable if the Seahawks take Anthony Richardson when Jalen Carter is still on the board. And that's the scenario that Peter Schrager is talking about here in this mock draft. Will Anderson's gone, but Jalen Carter ends up going 6 in Schrager's mock draft. And you're choosing Richardson over Jalen Carter, that's unexcusable. That is unacceptable. And if you're a Seahawks fan, and if that happens, you have every reason to be pissed off for that type of move. Look, the Seahawks are in a unique position right now. The NFC is wide open. There's a chance to compete and a chance to add an elite playmaker for the Seattle Seahawks team, for this team to compete at a high level. Now is not the time to take on a project quarterback when you can make that defense a hell of a lot better as far as I'm concerned. The numbers from Anthony Richardson were not good last year. Less than 54% completion percentage. Just over 2,500 yards passing. He did have 26 touchdowns, 9 picks. Now's not the time for Anthony Richardson as far as I'm concerned. You had to pick one to draft. Are you listening to me or are you listening to Schrager? Let me know. Type AR for Anthony Richardson. If you're going with Jalen Carter, type JC for Jalen Carter. Let us know in the comments section below. Don't make the unforgivable mistake, Seattle. Please don't do that. For the best Seattle Seahawks coverage around, this is the channel for you. Subscribe today. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. It's Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. I'm here breaking down the news and rumors each and every day. We got our live shows on Wednesdays. This is the place to be, and we know how to party and have a good time. If you haven't subscribed, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/Seahawks TV, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. All right, one more final note before we wrap up today. Are the Seahawks headed for Prime Video? Okay, you get the idea. According to Peter King of NBC Sports' Football Morning in America, he says that there could be a push from the NFL for Jeff Bezos, the Amazon founder, to buy an NFL team. Now, let me set the scene for you before we tell you what Peter King had to say. You go back to the Commanders ownership situation. Bezos ended up backing out of interest. I know that he's got roots in Seattle, but he's been like a D.C. guy as of late. So it seemed like a potential natural fit for Bezos to own the Commanders. But there's been a contentious relationship over the years between Bezos and Dan Snyder, and sounded like Dan Snyder didn't want Bezos to own the Washington Commanders. So what about the idea of him coming back to the Pacific Northwest and owning his hometown team, the Seattle Seahawks? Here's what Peter King had to say. The NFL is lobbying Bezos quietly, but hard to buy a franchise. The advantages of buying the Seahawks are many. Seattle has a consistent winner with a great GM coach team and John Schneider and Pete Carroll. Seattle has an incredible fan base. Seattle has a state-of-the-art loud home venue in Lumen Field. And Seattle has one of the best training facilities in pro sports. All four of those are far, far better than what Washington has. Why would Bezos not want Seattle if he's serious about buying into the league that prints money? Now, here's an interesting note, whether it's Bezos or anybody out there. The Seahawks at this point in time are not for sale. And here's why. Because of the way their contracts are written with the state of Washington, the lease agreement, and all that stuff there, a sale before May 2nd of 2024 would cost the Seahawks 10% going back to the state of Washington. So for Jody Allen and company, there's no reason to sell the team right now until that time passes. You could sell the team on May 3rd, but you're sure as hell not going to sell the team on May 2nd. So whether it's Bezos or whoever it may be, eventually Jody's going to sell the team, and we'll move on from the Allen family. Whether it's Bezos or whoever, it's going to be a bit. But for Seattle, that asking price is going to break the record that we saw from Washington. This will be, whenever it does happen, the most expensive sale in NFL history. Now, here's one thing. I know Bezos draws the headlines, but in this day and age, it takes an ownership group to buy a team. It takes more than one. Bezos is going to have some other people involved, even Jeff Bezos himself. Who should be a part of the next ownership group of the Seahawks? I would love to see some of the throwback players of some sorts be involved. Like a Steve Largent or something like that. Who comes to mind that you'd like to see? Some Seahawk greats, maybe some Seahawk businessmen. Maybe you're thinking of another billionaire like Bill Gates or something. Tell me who should be a part of the next ownership group for your Seattle Seahawks. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live. You can find me there, and I will see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right, so while we were in the middle of that cut, we had a huge super chat come in. Let's show that on screen here for you. This is a big deal, folks. Pablo coming in clutch. 3, 2, 1. Bang! A $50 super chat from Pablo Domingo. What's up? I want Tyler Jones to be on the Boot Hall of Fame. Let's go, Seahawks. Are you ready for the NFL season? Let's go! Let's go! Spam Pablo in the chat. I'm going in the Boot Hall of Fame. How about that, Big Tex? Let's go! Let's go!
Let's get hyped.
Unbelievable. What a moment. What a moment. Pablo, I am honored. I am honored. This is as good as it's ever gotten in my entire life to be a member of the new Seahawks Boot Hall of Fame. We've already filled up the first side, so now I get to start the second side. And I got to tell you, this is surreal. I can't believe it right now. Tex, I'm almost crying. Thank you, Pablo. You are the man. You're the real one. Spam Pablo in the chat. Pablo getting it done. And now I am a part of the Boot Hall of Fame with my guy, Pablo. I'm writing both of us on here. So here it is. PD for Pablo Domingo and TJ for Tyler Jones in the Boot Hall of Fame. Spam Pablo in the chat. Get those Pablos going right now. Unbelievable moment. I am honored. This is a great moment. This is as good as it gets, folks. Spam Pablo in that chat. You know, I've won awards. I've had a pretty decent career, if I'd say so myself. But getting on the Boot Hall of Fame, that's as good as it gets. There we go. Congratulations, Pablo. Thank you, Pablo, for putting me in the Boot Hall of Fame. I am honored. What a great moment. Pablo puts me in the Boot Hall of Fame. We're at $112 in Super Chats right now. And that $50 means I got to do a Jungle Beer chug, too. So while we show you the Super Chat menu, and Pablo says, I love my Seahawks. Pablo, we love you, too. I will do the Jungle Beer chug that put me over the top to put me in the Boot Hall of Fame. There it is. All that liquor right there in all its glory. Here's the chug. Mm. Oh my gosh. That was a lot. I'm feeling it right there. All that liquor and beer. I'm in the clear. There's the Super Chat menu. We're at $112 right now. We need to get to $300 to get to Das Boot. And Texer, we are competing today with our other channels, and we're making a little bit of progress, but we got a ways to go to catch up to those other channels. I've been told if we get in the $400 range, then we're going to be live quite a bit during the draft. But we got to get to 400. We got to prove ourselves to the bosses that we belong, that we should get plenty of airtime coming up next week. So that is where we're at right now. Good start. Pablo's holding up his end. Who else is going to come through on the Super Chats? Had another $5 Super Chat that came in. Let's pull that one up there from Taker. And then we'll get into our mailbag. And that's the DK song. I think we're going to test out Tex and make him sing it this time. How are out-of-market fans feeling about Sunday ticket pricing? Are we getting gouged by Google? For a lot of us, what other choice is there? So Sunday ticket, we were just talking about this in the office. It's going to be on YouTube TV this year. And I tend to follow this stuff pretty closely. And this is not a free ad for YouTube TV and Google, but I can tell you this much, Tex. If you subscribe to YouTube TV right now and get Sunday ticket, it's $250 for the whole season. It would actually be considerably cheaper than Sunday ticket usually is on DirecTV. So it's at the end of the day, if you buy it before the season begins, it's actually going to be around the same cost that DirecTV charged for it. But if you get it now, then you get it at a discount. So that's how that situation is. Tex, put yourself on screen. You ready to sing the DK song? All right. Oh, you got the Super Chat up there. All right, so Texer is here with me. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here as we're enjoying ourselves on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon hanging out with the 12s. Texer's going to sing the DK song after that $5 Super Chat. Tex, you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Chomping. Gino.
Carroll's chomping.
Oh, sorry. Chomping. Carroll's chomping.
Gino passes.
No one stopping. DK. Touchdowns all day.
He rules. Oh, he did it. He did it.
A little sloppy.
Tex learned the song. Everybody spam Tex in the chat. Texer. There we go. Nice work, Tex. He might be a Cowboy fan, but he's a Seahawk. He's a 12 at heart. Texter coming through. I love it. That was awesome. All right. So, with that, we will do our mailbag here in just a second. Hashtag Seahawks to get on the mailbag or Super Chat as well, and that will get you on the mailbag as well. Calvin with the text in there. You'll love to see it. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Text. Let's go no more than like 12 minutes on this mailbag. Okay. We'll move at a pretty quick pace. Mailbag time. Get your questions in. You can also ask questions as we're going along throughout the segment here. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. Tex, we all set? We ready to go? All right, let's get after it. Mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, it is time for another award-winning mailbag where people send us questions. This comes from our live shows that we do on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And people super chat us. They use the hashtag Seahawks, and they get their questions in, and we answer them live in real time. You may be wondering, well, how can I be a part of a mailbag? Well, if you subscribe to the channel, you know when we go live. So whether it's for the draft or our live shows during the week, you will be the first to know when you subscribe and turn on notifications that we are doing a live show and we're answering your questions. It is a palooza. It is a hell of a time here on Seahawks Today. If you're not subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now, youtube.com/Seahawks TV to subscribe for free today. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Pablo with a $50 super chat. Bang! Thank you, Pablo, for that. If the Seahawks draft Anthony Richardson at the number 5 overall pick, I got to tell you, Pablo, I would be disappointed. Not going to lie, if the Seahawks draft Anthony Richardson at number 5 overall. To me, that would be disappointing if the Seahawks go that route, drafting Anthony Richardson at 5, because of all the defensive talent in this draft, and you're a Seahawks team that has shifted over to win now mode. You need to capitalize on that, especially the help you need on the defense. The Will Andersons, the Jalen Carters, the Tyree Wilsons of the world, one of those guys will be available. I would much prefer one of those guys than a project quarterback who can't play this year in Anthony Richardson. So that's my take personally, but we'll see. Pablo, thanks for the $50 super chat. You're a real one. Taker610 says, Carter would be our best D-line prospect since who? I was thinking about this, and I hope people aren't mad about me saying this, but prospect of a guy coming out of college, I think you have to go all the way back to Cortez Kennedy potentially for how good Jalen Carter is. I mean, he is that talented. The Jalen Carters of the world don't grow on trees. He is that good. To me, that is what we're talking about with the talent that he brings to the table. Let's see. We got more questions for you. Hashtag Seahawks and Super Chat to get your questions in the mailbag. Seahawkin99 says, if Carter and Anderson are both on the board, who should the Seahawks take? It's a great question. And it very well might be this situation because think about this, okay? Let me paint you a scenario that's been discussed when it comes to this Seattle Seahawks draft situation. You could very well have where the top 4 quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You could see Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud go 1, 2, Anthony Richardson and Will Levis go 3, 4, and then Seattle picks at 5, and they have anything they want at that point, right? And then you're like, well, Will Anderson doesn't have the potential character issues that you have with Jalen Carter, and he might be a more talented player potentially. But Jalen Carter fills a more immediate need in something there. I think Seattle would lean towards Jalen Carter. Because remember that meeting that occurred, what was it, about a week ago or so? We didn't hear anything negative to come out of that meeting. If they were not interested in Jalen Carter, if that meeting did not go well, something would have leaked. We would have heard something. At this point, at the time of this recording, we haven't heard anything. So I think that Jalen Carter would be the pick. But I'd be happy with either guy. I don't think you can go wrong with either one, to be quite frank with you. Pick one to draft, Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. If you had to choose between one of those two, let me know which guy you would prefer. J for Jalen Carter, W for Will Anderson. Tell me in the comments section below. David writes, what should we do at nose tackle? Very good question. What should the Seahawks do at the nose tackle spot? I think that when you look at this defensive line, you're going to see on the D-line Jaron Reed, Draymond Jones plugging up 2 spots. And then with the other pick, or with the other spot to be filled, could be a Jalen Carter type, somebody along those lines. That's the way I think this goes ultimately. And if that's what your defensive line looks like, Carter as well as Draymond Jones and Jaron Reed, you're feeling pretty dang good as far as I'm concerned. I think that's what the future of this defensive line, best case scenario, is. P&W Family checking in. P&W Family, quit hating on my guy Mark Sanchez, by the way. P&W Family, P&W Family's been complaining about the super chats from Mark Sanchez. You could one-up Mark. You could super chat yourself, P&W Family. I don't want to hear any more complaining about Mark Sanchez. Mark's my guy. He's a real one. He is the king of Seahawks today. So no more complaining about Mark Sanchez. That's rule number 1. But nonetheless, P&W Family, thanks for the question. Hashtag Seahawks, unlikely, but if they can get Will Anderson at 5, that'd be great. Then at 20, you take Brian Bresee or the best D-tackle on the board. If not, you take Carter. Well, Carter's not going to be around at 20. I can tell you that much. But Brian Bresee, yeah, that could be a possibility. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting scenario there. I very well could see Seattle in that position, potentially, P&W family, as far as that goes. I'll put it this way, okay? Let me simplify this for you. You kind of got to kick the can to one or the other pretty quickly, right? If you go with defensive tackle at 5, like Jalen Carter, then the edge rusher spot you need to take care of, pretty fast within those first couple of rounds, and vice versa. If you go edge rusher at 5, you need to take care of defensive tackle pretty quick. So yeah, I see what you mean, P&W family. Cam, is that Cam Newton? I don't think so. Cam writes in, Bijan Robinson, a dual threat with his amazing hands and creates missed tackles. Think beast mode, but Bijan mode. Big Tex is here with me. If we can get the 2-box up, I want the people to see, in case they're watching the video-on-demand version, what Big Tex is wearing today. Tex, in case you folks don't know Tex, if you're not part of our live shows, he helps produce our live shows, does a great job. And Tex, there he is. What are you wearing today? Oh, no, it's that awful, ugly, burnt orange. Horns down. But Texer, I'll give you this moment to shine.
Okay.
Let's tell the world about how great Bijan Robinson is. I think Bijan is a generational talent. He is the best running back prospect to come out since Saquon Barkley. I'm not going to lie. I'd be tempted to take him at 20 if he's still hanging around. I know Seattle's got running back covered with Kenneth Walker. They have other needs to take care of. But there is a temptation that comes with a guy that's that good. You saw a lot of him. I mean, he is.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy as good as he is. And he was good from when he jumped on board at UT. He's still gotten better every single year.
100%. I mean, he had 1,000 yards plus the last 2 seasons rushing. He's a great receiver out of the backfield. He just makes people miss. I mean, between the tackles, he can just make tight cuts. He's got maybe not like top-end speed, but great vision. And I think you'd take that a lot of times over just a really fast running back who can't make tight cuts. And he just makes people miss. You look at his highlights, he breaks so many tackles, it's not even funny. And I think that he would pair well with Geno Smith. I think Geno could throw a lot of touchdowns to him in the end zone with the out of the backfield, wheel route type situation going on there.
Now Cam, I don't know if you saw this, but a couple weeks ago, credit to Big Tex here actually, there was a graphic that we threw up that we put together comparing the numbers. I know that there's kind of different running styles between Bijan and Beast Mode Marshawn Lynch. But when you look at the statistics of like 40 time, broad jump, vertical jump, those things, height and weight, they're almost identical.
Yeah, they're like the same. It's wild.
It's crazy.
It's almost like y'all should draft Bijan.
So Cam, Bijan's unbelievable. I like Bijan a lot. I know Seattle's got other things to take care of, but it would be, if he's there at 20, it would be hard to say no. I'll put it that way because of just how good he is, out of respect to Bijan. But as a Big 12 fan, somebody who went to Kansas, grew up in Oklahoma, I do have to put the horns down, though. So no disrespect to Bijan. That's just for all the UT people out there, including Tex. Thank you, Tex. Moving on. Supersonics RIP. How about the Kraken, though? Kraken in the playoffs. Go Kraken. What should the Seahawks draft at 20? Well, I'm glad you asked. Supersonics RIP. We just talked about Bijan. He'll be on the board. I think the likely pick, there's 2 names in particular. Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa, Brian Bresee. Those are the two guys, and Miles Murphy, 3 names. Those are the guys I'm keeping my eye on for that 20th pick. Get your bets in now, but I think if you put a gun to my head, it'd be one of those 3 at this point in time. So we'll see what ultimately the Seahawks do, but that would be my guess of what they do with that 20th selection. What say you guys? Name a player the Seahawks should draft at 20. Tell me who comes to mind, who you'd like to see be a Seattle Seahawk in a 2023 with that 20th overall pick. Give me one name you'd like to see the Seahawks pick. Folks, we will be live on draft night. We'll get started about an hour before the draft and keep the show going depending on how the night goes. And you will not want to miss it. Myself, I'll be here. Big Tex, who you saw earlier, he's going to be here with me. We're going to have a few drinks in hand. It's going to be a crazy time. You will not want to miss it. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Join us draft night. Check out our draft channel, too. YouTube.com/chatNFL. P&W family, who's your favorite team, Tyler? You know I love the Seattle Seahawks. You guys, the 12s. I mean, you guys are incredible. It is my honor, it is my privilege to talk to the 12s each and every day here on Seahawks Today, and I am so excited for the season that's ahead here in 2023. All right, so that is one segment down, and we're halfway there. Oh, we're living on a prayer. We got the perfect draft plan coming up next. But first, let's see here. National Poker Days today. I am somebody that loves to go to the casino. I love to gamble. That is one of my favorite things. Let's see. Tom says, Thailand? What about Thailand? I believe it's not Thailand. I believe it's Thailand. Isn't that correct, Tex? Okay. Yes. Name a quarterback the Seahawks should draft. I'll put it this way, Tex. I think Seattle should draft a quarterback, but not early. I think, and I'll talk about this more in the perfect draft plan, that if you're the Seattle Seahawks, when it comes to this draft, look at what happened to the San Francisco 49ers last year, where their top two quarterbacks went down. Brock Purdy they picked with the very last pick of the draft,
right.
And now he's their quarterback in the future there in San Francisco. They have no regrets about that. If I'm the Seattle Seahawks, yeah, you got Geno. Yeah, you got Drew Lock. But I don't think it hurts you at all to have another quarterback that you could potentially develop and have that third quarterback in case of emergency or something like that. To me, one name to keep in mind, late-round guy, you should be familiar with him, state of Texas guy. How about Clayton Tune from Houston? That would be one to watch. Stone World says Hendon Hooker. AFX Apocalypse says Stetson Bennett. How dare you? How dare you say that? Mention that name in my chat. XX Team Oregon says Max Duggan. Good choice. Let's see. What else you guys got there? Let's go back to Super Chat menu. So we'll get to our perfect draft plan in a moment. And I will get my crystal ball out and tell you how I think the Seahawks should draft and what the perfect draft scenario looks like for them. I will do that in a moment. Before we do, here's the Super Chat menu. We are at $117 in Super Chats right now. We are just a little over halfway to Das Boot. Got to get to 300 to get to Das Boot. Yeah, 117 is our number right now. I've been told that we need to get to 400 on today's show to have significant time for a live show next week. So we got work to do on that, but it can be done. Jungle Chug, $50, $20 a beer chug, $7 shots for Geno, $5 we'll sing the DK song. You can request me or text either one to sing the DK song. Here is the update. We're making progress on the 49ers report and the Cowboys report, but we got a little bit of a ways to go to catch those guys. So we'll see what we can put together here, Super Chat-wise, and party and have a good time and have a few drinks in hand. Got the Coolers Light here. Hello, Samuel.
Monday.
See you Monday. You off tomorrow? Oh, nice. Where are you going?
Norman, baby. Spring game. Boomer Stoner.
Oh, nice. You got to go to the porch.
No, I'm going to the porch. I'm hitting up Friday Power Hour.
Sam Brown, everybody. He's off to Norman, Oklahoma. That's the favorite town of Big Tex. You ever been to Norman, Tex?
Yeah, my sister went there.
Oh, wait. You got a little Red River rivalry in your household?
Yeah, my dad went to Texas. I went to Texas. My sister went to OU, begrudgingly to my dad. He was not happy to pay that tuition at all.
Why'd she go to OU?
They have a good broadcast school, but she
Yeah.
ended up doing elementary education after changing her major, so she just liked it.
Oklahoma where the wind comes sweeping down the plain.
The eyes
where
of
the waving
Texas
wheat
are
sure smells sweet. Oh, yes. Perfect draft plan. Next here on Seahawks Today. Let's go ahead and break it down for you. The perfect draft plan, what that looks like for your Seattle Seahawks coming up right now. Welcome in. It's Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us with the NFL Draft coming up in just a matter of days. On today's show, I want to lay out for you the perfect draft plan for your Seattle Seahawks, how they should go about this draft, some key players to watch, and some moves to make. I will lay out the game plan for Seattle heading in to the draft beginning on Thursday night in a matter of moments. Before we do, quick poll question here. Who is your dream draft target for the Seahawks? Now, this could be somebody at 5. This could be somebody at 20. Could be somebody later in the draft. This is up to you. Open to interpretation. Tell me who your dream target is for the Seahawks in this upcoming draft. I'm very curious who comes to mind that you look at a player and you see that guy needs to be a Seahawk. Who is that guy? Tell me who it is in the comment section, and we'll get started with today's show. So here's what I have. I have my 4-point plan for a perfect draft for the Seattle Seahawks. And where we begin with my perfect 4-point plan, in just a moment, we're going to talk defense. But first, let's just go over some of the numbers here of what the draft looks like for the Seahawks of their draft picks. 5 and 20, 37, 52. Those are 4 picks in the top 52 for Seattle, including 2 picks in the top 20. Then you got 52, 83, and then you got 123, 2 in the 5th round at 151 and 154, and then you wrap up things at 198 and 237. So not only do the Seahawks have 10 picks, but they have a lot of flexibility to work with these 10 picks to potentially trade up, trade down, whatever it may be to get the guys that they want. So with that, number 1 on the perfect draft plan for Seattle, stay at 5. Stay at 5. I know that we've heard rumblings about should the Seahawks trade up or should they trade down potentially. But to me, I look at it this way. Seattle is in a unique position with the number 5 selection. When it's all said and done, for Seattle, one of these 3 players should be on the board. If not, all 3 of these players should be on the board. Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, and Tyree Wilson. I would love to have any of the 3, okay? I don't know how the board's going to shake out ultimately. None of us know for sure. But one of those 3 will be there. And for me, with knowing that, I don't think you can miss on either one of these guys. You would, in the night, if you get one of those guys jumping for joy, in particular Carter and Anderson. If you get one of them, you're feeling great. And so, as the Seattle Seahawks, trading up, no thanks. Trading down, I don't want to lose one of these guys either. Just stay pat, hold serve at 5, get one of these guys, and to me, you're off to a great start to this draft. Who should Seattle draft at 5? Whether it's one of those 3 guys we talked about or somebody else, who would you like to see Seattle draft with that number 5 selection? Let me know in the comments section who you'd like to see them pick up. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in and tell me who you think the Seahawks should draft at number 5. So number 2 on our perfect draft plan is with the 20th pick. Now we're okay with making a trade potentially. Trading down from 20, but staying in the first round. Here's the deal, okay? Hear me out on this, folks. With the Seahawks draft situation at number 20, when you get past the top 10, I think the talent is not that big of a gap between players that fall from like 11 all the way to about 45. I don't think that's that big of a gap. Now, why is it important to stay in the first round? Because you still have the fifth-year option possibility, and you don't want to drop too far necessarily. I mean, you want to take advantage of a year like this where you have 2 first-round picks, okay? And there are a number of teams that could be interested in trading to your spot and still staying in the first round. The Chargers very well might want to move up 1 spot. The Giants, the Cowboys, the Bills, the Eagles. I mean, think about this, folks. At that 20th selection, maybe Bijan Robinson is still available. What about the run on the receivers? It's expected that should start around that range of the guys after Jackson Smith and Jigba, the Quentin Johnstons, the Jordan Addisons, the Zay Flowers of the world. And all 5 of these teams that you see right now pick behind Seattle and could want to move up to add that playmaker, potentially. So, for me, you move down potentially, you get maybe a third later, and you still get a pretty dang good player that might be just as good as what you picked at 20 anyway. To me, that's intriguing. Bill Barnwell of ESPN laid out a interesting scenario about this move, and this is what he brought up on ESPN.com the other day. Listen to this. Moving up here would get the Giants ahead of the Chargers, who would be looking for a similar injection of speed to their receiving core. Seattle general manager John Schneider should be happy to pick up a third-round choice for moving down 5 spots, that being with the New York Giants, just as an example potentially of a team that could move up there. What do you think about 20? Should the Seahawks trade down from 20? Tell me in the comments section why for yes, in for no. Should the Seahawks trade down from the 20th pick? Tell me what you think. Why for yes, in for no in the comments section below. Today's show is sponsored by Z-Biotics. Let's face it, after y'all hit me with a bunch of super chats, I don't bounce back well the next day. That is until I found Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut when you need it most. Drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Give Z-Biotics a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports and get 15% off your first order when you use code ChatSports at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/chatsports. Use code ChatSports at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring today's video. All right, moving on now to number 3 on our list. That is taking care of your team needs. It sounds simple, but there are a lot of things specifically that the Seahawks team needs to address. Now, some needs obviously have more priority than others, but nonetheless, when you go through this draft, there are things that need to be taken care of for this Seattle Seahawks team when you look at what this team is needing to take care of. And I'll say this, before we go over the team needs and potential players to fill those team needs, let me preface all of this. Don't take this the wrong way, folks. The Seahawks, as is, are already a good football team. I think going into this draft, Seattle, on paper, looks like a top 4 or 5 team in the NFC. But you are in a very tough division with the San Francisco 49ers right there, okay? Now, if you address some of these needs and do what you need to do, that could take a huge step of getting this roster where it needs to be. I mean, think about this. Edge, interior defensive line, interior of the offensive line, linebacker, wide receiver, running back, corner. And here's what I mean, the wide receiver spot. You have 2 great receivers in DK and Tyler, but You need help at the third wide receiver spot, although that's not something that you have to take care of right away. Running back, you have a very good running back in Kenneth Walker, but he needs a running mate of some sorts, right? Corner, you did a really good job last year with Tyree Wilson and Kobe Bryant, but it wouldn't hurt you to go ahead and start thinking about another piece as well to develop another corner out there. So that's what I mean when looking at these team needs, that you have some that mean a lot more than others do. With that said, let me just go over some positions of need after the first round and guys to watch out for. Osiris Torrance, the offensive guard from Florida, started his career with the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns, with Billy Napier, was all Sun Belt Conference there, moved to the SEC with Napier, and was all SEC last year. He is a heck of a football player and could be an instant impact player for Seattle if they were to draft him. Might be available early second round. He might slide into the back of the first round. John Michael Schmitz, arguably the best center in this draft. He'll be a second round pick, and he is a name to watch, a bruiser there out of Minnesota. Defensive tackle-wise, if you somehow don't go D-tackle in the first round, or if you're looking to potentially double up, Mozzie Smith is an option out of Michigan. Keon White, the edge rusher out of Georgia Tech, another name to watch, and he's starting to climb up some boards as well. A few other names to keep in mind of some guys after round one. Drew Sanders, linebacker out of Arkansas, very good linebacker that's very athletic, who had a good career, started at Alabama, finished up at Arkansas. Marvin Mims out of the University of Oklahoma. I think Mims is kind of getting disrespected in this draft. I think he's a hidden gem, personally. We've talked so much about, the top core receivers of Flowers, JSN, Johnston, Addison. I don't think Mims is far off from that group. I think that he can be very, very good and would be a nice steal for somebody, and right away would be a good fit for Seattle as their number 3 receiver. Zach Charbonnet, running back from UCLA, is another guy that could bring a lot to the Seattle offense. And then Julius Brents, he's seen his stock rise a ton, the corner from K-State. He's another name to watch. He was talked about early on in the draft process as a day 3 guy, and now he is first or second round potential and could be somebody that would see playing time right away for Seattle. So those are some names to watch at positions of need that should be available after the first round. Name a player the Seahawks should draft after round 1. Who would you like to see in a Seahawks uniform that won't be a first-round pick more than likely, with one of those round 2 picks or later? Tell me in the comments section who you would like to see in Seattle this upcoming year that is not going to be a first-round pick more than likely. We will be live on Thursday night for the NFL Draft. Our coverage will get started about an hour beforehand, and we'll be live for the Seahawks picks in the first round, and we'll break down the picks in real time. We'll react to everything that's going on. Myself, Big Tex will be here, our draft party. We know you guys like to party, so why don't you party with us here on Seahawks Today Live, coming up on Thursday night. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Join us here on Thursday. So we mentioned take care of your team needs. It seems kind of obvious, but there are several things to address. But last on this list is finding a late-round quarterback. Look, I don't think Seattle's going to be in position to get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, and so that's a big reason why I'm against picking a quarterback there at 5, because I don't believe in Anthony Richardson or Will Levis personally. But think about this. Before we show you these names of who could potentially be available in those later rounds, here's something to keep in mind. Look at the division rival San Francisco 49ers last year. They went into 2022 with Trey Lance as their starter, Jimmy Garoppolo as their backup, and Brock Purdy, who was the very last pick in last year's draft. And their offensive line was pretty good, right? With Trent Williams, one of the greatest left tackles of all time, leading the way. And what happened to San Francisco? Even with a great O-line and everything, they still were playing their third quarterback by, what was it, week 11 or 12? And even Brock Purdy got hurt in the NFC Championship game. And so if I'm the Seahawks, you got to evaluate the quarterbacks and have even a third option potentially. If something were to happen to Geno, or happened to Drew Lock, a guy that could be ready to step up in one of those scenarios, one of those situations. And also with this, think about the Belichick philosophy. Belichick loves to take a quarterback about every year or so. And that's turned into great draft capital for New England. All those guys were never going to replace Tom Brady. I mean, what happened after Tom left? A year or two later, they got Mac Jones. And they still, none of those guys they drafted ever replaced Tom. But they got a ton of draft capital for the Matt Castles, the Jimmy G's of the world. It's a smart strategy to pick a late-round quarterback and see what you got. Take a shot at him. You got 10 picks anyway. Here's some guys to keep in mind. Clayton Tune, Jake, Max, DTR, Aiden O'Connell, all of those guys I'd be interested in for Seattle to potentially take as a late-round quarterback. Do not give me Stetson Bennett. I don't want to hear one damn word about Stetson Bennett. If you mention Stetson Bennett, how dare you? But any of these other guys, especially like Clayton Tune, to me, I'd be very fascinated with as a late-round quarterback potentially. Pick a quarterback. Who's somebody the Seahawks should draft? Whether it's one of those guys at the beginning of the draft or if you're like me and like one of these late-round guys. Tell me a name Seattle should draft in the comments section below. So to recap, the perfect draft plan for Seattle, stay at 5, draft defense, trade down from 20, but stay in the first round. Take care of your team needs. There's a lot of them that need to be addressed. Do it. And then find a late-round quarterback. That is all for Seahawks today. Thanks for joining us. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live, and I will see you next time right here on the channel. Thanks for joining us. Okay. One more segment to go before we wrap up. We will do a Q&A mailbag. Let's see. Who should Seattle draft at 5? What do you guys think? What should the Seahawks do with that number 5 pick? I got to tell you, I'm all in on Carter or Anderson. That would be the move for me. What do you guys think with that number 5 pick? Wayne? How dare you? How dare you? Get that name out of my chat. I might have to block that name from my chat. Stoney says no, get Carter and Anderson. Well, you can't get both, but you can get one or the other. Who should the Seahawks draft at 5? Tex, what say you? What would you do if you were John Schneider and had to pick for Seattle at 5?
Ooh, I'm tempted to say Bijan Robinson, but I wouldn't take a running back in the top 10, let alone the top 5.
Smart.
I'd probably say Will Anderson's the better prospect just slightly, but you're right. Jalen Carter does address the needs for Seattle on defense a little bit better. So I'd probably say Jalen Carter.
Okay.
You kind of have to overlook the off-the-field issues and hope that doesn't come back to surface.
Stoney says Anderson. Harry Morris says Carter. Saigon says Anderson. Team Oregon says Carter. Stoney with a little bit of a bonk there. Shout out your favorite college team. Jim says Carter at 5. Who is your favorite college team? You know, Tex, the draft, one of the things I love about the draft, I don't think it gets talked about enough, is how cool it is to see the NFL world and the college football world collide once together. I mean, ESPN, for example, they're going to have NFL Live and College Game Day both there. And you get the perspective of both the NFL players, you know, the guys that go into the NFL and their college backgrounds. To me, that is one of the most unique things about the draft. I'm a University of Kansas guy. We had a nice bounce back year this year at KU, getting to a bowl game. That was a big deal. Your Texas Longhorns, they got some high hopes this year, don't they? Sark, are you buying into the Sark?
Hey, I mean, he was known as 6-win Sark. He won 8 games last year, so he broke that narrative and flipped that on its head. I would be pissed off at Sark as the Texas head coach if we don't win 10 games. And the reason why is because in year 2 under Tom Herman, we won 10 games.
Right.
We went 7-6 year 1 Tom Herman, 10-4 the next year, like 8-3 the next year, and then 8-5 the next year, whatever. Kind of regressed, but that big jump. I need to see us win 9 to 10 regular season games for me to have a high level of confidence in Steve Sarkisian at Texas.
So asking what your favorite team is, shout it out, spam it in the chat for me. Saijan's a Notre Dame fan. Tom says Carter. Harry says I vote for Beer. Matthew says LSU. We got some LSU fans. Will Scott, he's an LSU alum. Yeah, that's the key right there. Let's see. Tui says Oregon. Stoney says Oregon. And Peter is a Virginia Tech Hokies fan with that Virginia Tech logo there. Got a tweet from Stone World. Says, I'm definitely getting a Bijan jersey if we draft him. If he's available at 20, I don't know how we would pass on him. If our first 2 picks are Carter or Anderson and then Bijan, that would be epic. Blaze is a UTEP fan. We don't see very many El Paso people in the chat. Wayne is a Grand Canyon University fan. Harry, Oregon Ducks. Beaver fan, but just not when they play each other. Go Ducks. Team Oregon is an Oregon State Beaver alum. My 6th grade teacher, he was an Oregon State alum, actually. So, yeah, he was a big Beaver fan. Tom is a TCU fan. How about that national championship game, Tom? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. TCU couldn't show up in that national title. Like, come on, man. It was a great story, though. It's a big accomplishment, them getting there. All right, before we get to the mailbag, Super Chat menu. Wayne, Northern Arizona. Jim is a Huskies fan. Very cool. We're at $117 right now. Harry, Oregon State. Stoney, Washington. There's the Super Chat menu. So we're at $117 right now. Pretty solid day so far. But we have work to be done. We need to get to $400 at the very least so we can go crazy during the draft. I've been told if we get to $400, we can be on air for a very long time and party and enjoy ourselves because there's no party like a Seahawks party because the Seahawks party don't stop. But we got to get to at least 400 to get to that point. Stoney's an Eastern Washington fan. Harry's an Oregon State fan. So let's continue the battle. Let's keep on fighting away. We're going to do this Q&A mailbag. Mike's a Pepperdine fan. I love it. Go Pepperdine. Go Waves. Wayne says, folks, like the stream. Yeah. Even if you can't contribute, can't super chat, the easiest way you can help out the show is by hitting that like button for us, and that goes a long way. Every like matters. All likes matter here on Seahawks Today. Also contributing in the chat and just enjoying yourselves there. That certainly helps. So we'll do one more segment. Okay? One more Q&A mailbag. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. And we still need some more questions, right? Hashtag Seahawks, get your questions in. We need some more questions for the mailbag. And then, after we finish up the mailbag, we can keep the party going and keep having a good time. But we got to get the Super Chats to keep on rolling so we can enjoy ourselves and have said good time here on the channel. So all right, let's get your questions in. Hashtag Seahawks to get your questions. That makes it easier for big text to put your questions on screen. So hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get those questions in. We'll begin that mailbag coming up in just a few moments. Text is going to put it in the chat, and then we shall get started here on this Wednesday afternoon into evening here on the channel. Seahawks Today Live.
We're a little dry here. We need some questions, Seahawks fans.
Tom, Harry, Stoney, Wayne, Mikey. It's your chance to be a part of the show and get some screen time, get some questions in here on the show. Let's see. Tom says, you didn't even mention Roll Frog. Roll Frog. How about that? That better for you, Tom? Probably what isn't how that's said, but you know what? I gave an effort. You know how it's said? Oh, okay. Tom says Roll Frog. That's what I was going for. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Time for a mailbag edition of the show where we answer your questions, whatever you guys have. This comes from our live shows that we do on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, where people send questions to us and we react to them in real time. And so if you're not subscribed to the channel already, you need to be. And when we go live, whether it's for our scheduled live shows or if the Seahawks make a move and we go live, you can submit your questions to us, and we'll react to them. And it is a heck of a time. So go ahead and subscribe today for free. Doesn't cost you a thing. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV, and we will get started with today's show. Leonardo with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Leonardo, for that super chat. Coming in, says, what's up, Tyler? What's up, Leonardo? Who should we draft with the 20th pick? I'd love Jackson Smith in Jigba or JPL with that pick. Well, Leonardo, I'm glad you asked. 3 names to watch at the 20th pick. If Seattle stays at 20, I think there's a pretty decent chance the Seahawks trade back from the 20th pick anyway. But let's say for all intents and purposes, they'd stay at 20. Brian Bresee, Miles Murphy, Lucas Van Ness. Those are the 3 names I am watching for. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba myself. I think he's the only wide receiver 1 in this class, but I don't think he's going to be around at 20 when Seattle picks. So that's the scenario I see here. Leonardo, that's a fun name to say, Leonardo. But I don't think the Seahawks are going to have a chance to get him there at 20. Isaac writes, if both Carter and Anderson are taken, do you trade down for a ton of picks or what? Isaac, that's a very good question. There's one name to keep in mind besides Carter and Anderson. That's Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. And I think the only way you trade down is if those 2 and Wilson are gone. I mean, if you end up with Tyree Wilson, it's not a situation where you say to yourself, like you're disappointed, but it's not the perfect situation. Like, put it this way, okay? Let's say that you are an ice cream fan, and if you end up with Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, you got the best version of chocolate ice cream, which for me is like a chocolate almond, okay? Now, if you get Tyree Wilson, you've ended up with vanilla ice cream. Vanilla's not bad. It's actually pretty good. But I missed out on the chance to have chocolate almond ice cream, my favorite ice cream. So that's the way I look at it. It's the ice cream analogy. I'll take the vanilla ice cream. I'll be fine, and I'll be more than satisfied. But it could have been better. I could have had chocolate almond ice cream. Tom. Hi, Tom. No Diz respect. But why is Disley still wearing 89? Where's the love for Dougie B? Tom. Well, I like Will Dissly personally. I think Will Dissly's a good football player, and I have no problem with him wearing 89. I understand that Dougie B wore that well and had a good career, but I don't have a problem with Will Dissly wearing 89. I expect Will Dissly to have a pretty decent year this upcoming season. He and Noah Fant, watch out. This should be a good duo there for Seattle. Alan writes, what are the chances Anthony Richardson or Will Levis falls to Seattle at 5 and they take one of them? Well, Alan, if I were to guess at the time of this recording, I think whether it's a move that's made, whatever it may be, more than likely the top 4 quarterbacks go uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Did I get my Spanish right? I got my Spanish right. Okay. That's what I think. I think it goes, right now anyway, that you see Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis go 1, 2, 3, 4. And so they wouldn't even have the chance to get one of them at 5. But there are some different scenarios. If the draft shakes out the way it does, if Arizona stays at 3, that one of them in theory would be there. With that said, I don't see it happening. I think it's Seattle. There's too good of defensive players, and with this team, kind of in a win-now mode of sorts, with the talent that they have on this roster, bringing back, you need to get a guy that can start right now and be an impact player. Gino's fine. He's good enough for next year. You can kick the can on the quarterback later. You can get a quarterback later in the draft potentially. So I don't think so, but I wouldn't rule it out. Now's your turn to put on your GM hat. To be John Schneider, should the Seahawks take a QB in round one? Y for yes, N for no. S for C, N for no. See what I did there? This is our pit comment today. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in. Let me know one way or the other. Y for yes, N for no. Charlie the Unicorn. Let's go, Big Papa Seahawk. Draft coverage. 10 out of 10 on the big show. Charlie the Unicorn, you're a real one. I'm excited. I can't wait for draft night. We're going to be live here. You're giving me an opportunity for free publicity on the channel. We're going to be live during the draft. It is going to be incredible. Thursday night. Going to go live about an hour ahead of time. We'll be live during the Seahawks picks. It's going to be a party. And there's no party like a Seahawks Today party. I can tell you that much. So be here Thursday night. I love doing this for the 12s. You guys deserve it. Should be a fun time. Don't miss. Cam writes, fill up their 90-man camp with XFL, USFL, CFL, along with UFAs. At this point, we need proven bodies, and other leagues provide this experience. Thoughts? Okay, Cam. I got to tell you, I've watched the USFL and the XFL. Shout out to the Seattle Sea Dragons, which sound like the Kirkland brand of the Seattle Seahawks. But nonetheless, I'll never forgive the Sea Dragons for costing me $40 on a bet I made in Vegas several weeks back, by the way. But with that said, I like these other leagues, the XFL and the USFL. I think the intent is to have them as minor leagues for the NFL. I don't know exactly yet of who I would want to fill up those spots, but there is one name in the USFL in particular that does stand out to me. I don't know about the other spots, but Cam, if you're watching some football this weekend, if you're watching the USFL, go watch the Philadelphia Stars and Chase Cookus. This guy, he's cooking, okay? He is something special. He was on like a practice squad this past year. Can't remember which team it was, but that's a guy that intrigues me. He's got the arm talent. He's very accurate. He's a gamer. That's a guy, USFL team player that I would give a shot to in the NFL. King writes in, #Seahawks, will a team surprise us and draft Anthony Richardson in the top 2 picks? I know the Young and Stroud are more polished, but freak athletes like Lamar has a big arm. Could Anderson fall to us? Let's start with the back end of that question. Could Anderson fall to him? Yeah, absolutely. There is a world where all 4 quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4, and Will Anderson's available at 5. So, yes, that could happen. As far as Anthony Richardson goes, will a team surprise us and draft him in the top 2? So there was a report out earlier this week, that the Houston Texans had kind of soured on C.J. Stroud. That was according to Peter King of Football Morning in America from NBC Sports. Texans, whether they soured on C.J. Stroud or not, doesn't change the need that they have at the quarterback position. So if you're the Texans and you don't get Bryce Young, maybe then you do go Anthony Richardson. Maybe you do go Will Levis at that point in time. So, yeah, that could be possible. All depends on how true those reports are about the Texans souring on C.J. Stroud. Chad Ty 9. What late round sleeper should the Seahawks draft? Chad, thanks for asking. I don't know how much of a sleeper he is necessarily anymore, but Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State. As a Big 12 football fan, somebody that went to Kansas, his rival school, I've seen a lot of Deuce Vaughn the last couple of years, and he is explosive. He is a maniac. I know he's a little bit small, but he's shifty. He's fast. He is a freak, and I think he's going to have a fine NFL career. I love Deuce. Would love to see him in Seattle. Another name, late round sleeper. I'm surprised he's not getting more love among the quarterbacks in this draft. And I would be very open picking him late and being your number 3 quarterback and groom him and see what you got. Clayton Tune out of Houston. I like Clayton Tune a lot. I think that he is sneaky good and he could surprise some people potentially. So there's some late round sleepers that come to mind. What say you guys? Name a late round sleeper the Seahawks should draft. Who's somebody that you'd like to see in a Seahawks uniform that'll be available later in the rounds? Tell me in the comments section. Give me a name or two you'd like to see the Seahawks draft. All right, got time for about 1 or 2 more questions here. Let's go to Tyson. Any gadget player prospects similar to Deebo Samuel available? Very good question. I don't know off the top of my head, Tyson, of anyone that can do the Deebo Samuel thing and be a wide receiver and a running back. To me, that's a very unique skill set. But if somebody comes to mind, I'll get back to you on that, Tyson. But that's a good question. Last one, $5 super chat from David. Thank you, David, for the $5 super chat. What should we do at a nose tackle? I think the Seahawks defensive line, if all goes according to plan, is going to be Jaron Reed, Jalen Carter, Draymond Jones. And that's what that defensive line, that's what that should be. That's what it should look like, but we'll see. Before we wrap up here, what's the Seahawks' biggest need in the draft? Tell me in the comments section. Name it for me what you think the biggest need is for the Seahawks to address. They have several needs to take care of. They're a good team as is, but there's still some work to be done heading into the draft this upcoming week. Tell me in the comments section what the biggest need is for Seattle. All right, we're through our segments now. So let's put the Super Chat menu up. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to put a minute on the clock. If we get a Super Chat of $10 or more, we stay alive. Keep the show rolling. We could be here all night as far as I'm concerned. If we do not get a Super Chat at $10 or more, we sign off, we call it a day, and we'll join you next week on Draft Night, Thursday for that. So it's up to you guys. We can keep talking Seahawks. We can keep talking whatever you guys want to talk about. I see Lord Buddy Bear is here. Lord Buddy Bear, you're a legend in the Raiders department. This is quite a deal we have. We're at $117, Lord Buddy Bear. It's cheaper than what you're going to have to pay on Raiders. You could get a boot and see me do a boot. We're at $117. We got to get to $300 to get to Das Boot. So, and we want to beat down the 49ers report and the Cowboys report. Lord Buddy Bear and all you people out there, even Lord Buddy Bear, who's a Raider fan, I think would like to beat the 49ers and the Cowboys. Could help out us Seahawk fans. I'm putting a minute on the clock right now. Super Chat at $10 or more, we stay live. $117 we've got so far. We get to $300, we do a boot, and we party and we have a good time. We're less than $200 away from taking down Das Boot. $50 we'll do a jungle chug, $20 a beer chug, $7 we do our Geno shots, and $5 we do the DK song. So that is what's on tap. $10 or more in Super Chats. We keep the show going. We keep on partying. We can talk Seahawks. We can talk whatever you guys want to talk about. The NBA playoffs are going on right now. I've been watching some very good TV shows. Tex, Succession on HBO, best show on television. I can tell you all about Succession. Ted Lasso, new season. I've been catching up on that. Very good. What have you been watching?
Ooh, Game of Thrones I'm rewatching for like the 9th time.
9th time?
At least the 9th time. I remember watching it when I was like a freshman in high school and it was still like coming out on HBO.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm rewatching it with a buddy of mine.
You like that softcore porn, I guess.
I try to look past the nudity. I think it's more about the characters and narrative, but it is hard to kind of overlook the nudity when it's like every fucking episode is tits in your face and a cock over there, and it's just too much.
That's what Tex likes.
Not really. I just think it's a good show.
Mikey says Barry is the best show on TV. I haven't seen Barry.
Interesting. Better Call Saul's good. I've been watching that. Not as good as Breaking Bad, though.
All right, 30 seconds. Super chat at $10 or more in the next 30 seconds. We keep the show going. Otherwise, we sign off and call it a night. But if you guys aren't watching Succession, I mean, just a masterful TV show. Lord Buddy Bear with a $2 super chat. Yes. Lord Buddy Bear checking in, and I see Broby Juan Kenobi with a $5 super chat. So we'll keep the show going for now and get to these super chats. That's the DK song. I'll sing the DK song for Broby Juan Kenobi in just a second. Lord Buddy Bear checks in. Sorry, I'm saving for the draft another cat jersey. So Lord Buddy Bear is of Raiders Report fame. And Lord Buddy Bear had a jersey made for his cat on the Raiders Report. That's the type of money and cash they're throwing around on the Raiders Report. It gets pretty crazy over there. Lord Buddy Bear, Chat Sports appreciates you. Thanks for checking in and for helping us out here on Seahawks Today and Chat Sports both. Thank you, Lord Buddy Bear, for that. Broby Juan Kenobi, checking in with a $5 super chat. That means it's the DK song. Chomping carols, chomping Geno passes, no one stopping DK. Touchdowns all day. He rules. Thank you, Broby Juan Kenobi, for that. Back to the super chat menu. All right, so we reset the shot clock. $10 super chat. We stay live. Otherwise, we sign off. 1 minute on the clock starting right now. So we're talking TV shows. Mikey says Barry is the best TV show. Barry. Barry. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. Wayne says The Mandalorian. Have you seen that?
I've seen the first season. Pretty solid. I think it's. I was a huge Star Wars fan growing up. A little bit of a nerd here. Big Tex nerd. And I think they did a pretty good job first season. I know Sperry, our coworker, Steelers talk host, he loves The Mandalorian.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's very opinionated about it. And if the episode isn't good, you'll know about it. He'll be like, no way I like that episode.
Let's see. Virgil says shrinking. Harrison Ford. I love Harrison Ford. Excellent actor. Let's see. CW says booting. Tyler Jones be puking Bud Light. Not today. I'm not drinking. You know what? For some reason, I don't know why. I don't feel like drinking Bud Light. Just not feeling it.
I wonder why.
I'll drink coolers though. I'm feeling coolers, but not Bud Light. Let's see. Broby Juan Kenobi says, love the song, brother. Let's keep it moving, y'all. Wayne says, welcome, Lord Buddy Bear. What's your hope for the Raiders this playoffs? Lord Buddy Bear says, playoffs are a new coach. All right, time ran out. I did not see a $10 super chat come in. So we will sign off. Let's throw up the subscribe so people can throw up the weigh in with the draft coverage. Mikey says, season 3 of Mandalorian is good, but not as good as the first 2 seasons. Okay. So we're going to be live on draft night about an hour before the draft starts, and we'll be with you through the Seahawks' first 2 first-round picks. So you will not want to miss out on that. Subscribe, turn on notifications. You want to be here. It's going to be crazy Thursday night. I'll be here. Tex will be here. It's going to be a lot of fun. Do not miss it. I can tell you that much right now. It's going to be a wild time. Come party with us. If you're going to be a part of a draft party, might as well be our draft party here on Seahawks Today. Mikey says, thanks for the stream, guys. Mikey, thank you. Thanks to Wayne, Lord Buddy Bear. Our MVP of today's show, Pablo Domingo. Where'd Pablo go? I haven't seen Pablo in a minute. Thanks, Pablo, for your support, my guy. Everybody that contributed to the show, thanks for being here. See you on Thursday night next week. That's our next live show. We'll be back then. Have a great rest of your night, rest of your weekend. So long. Thanks for joining us.